So we'll see how it throws a wrench into the championship standings. We'll show you the championship points at the top of the screen for the duration of the race. They will update every lap, and we'll follow along as the championship battles carry on through the season. The Pace SUV pulls off the racetrack.
The truck is in the pits.
And it's time to go racing from GRIDLIFE Pit Race. Eibach GLTC, the first of 4 races this weekend. One last run at Pit Race. The first of 4 starts now. Green flag, and we're underway here at Eibach GLTC. And right at the green flag, you see how the points shift and shuffle. It's just 1 point as they start this race, and we're almost 3 wide into turn 1. O'Gorman clears Cattell for second.
Looks like clean through one for the top 10. Couple of offs off track right. A little bit of a rough ride, but the track is smooth enough that hopefully these cars can continue. Not too much dust inside the front of the car. Yeah,
off into turn 3 now. On the braking into that corner, things get a little tight down here. It's blind coming down this hill. O'Gorman leads the way in the ASMS 2000. Cattell second, Smedegard third, Rosenberg fourth. The car that was off was Darling. Just dropped a couple tires. We stay nice and straight, pointed the right direction. Darling on the attack on Lena Chin into turn 5, but otherwise nice clean start here.
Tight through the bottom of the hill there, and a lot of grip here in this section. This is a much more drastic angle in real life than it looks like on the stream. Same with turn 3. It's way more blind than it looks like on the stream.
Yeah, using a lot of the curbing here. I think Tomo has an opportunity to try to drive away from Cattell, and I actually think that might be beneficial for Eric if he doesn't have to worry about being offensive and defensive at the same time. The car that's trailing him has beat him before. That's Andy Smedegard in that FA24 swap FRS.
I think Eric's in a pretty good place here. He just needs to chase Tom as close as he can and keep it real tighty. Andy's not going to have a lot for him in the straightaways. These cars are very comparable in pretty much all metrics, as we saw at Autobahn and Lime Rock.
Great shots there looking down, and the front 4 have already broken away. Don't forget that Eric Magnuson is also in that championship battle, although it would take a pretty Herculean effort for him to steal it away, but it is mathematically possible.
Yeah. Knowing the talent of the top 5 here is it's going to be it still is kind of anybody's championship because these are home-built cars. They can break, but there is a lot. Big jump here by Matan around the right-hand side of Smedegard. We'll see what he's got going into turn 1.
Yeah, and he will probably need to complete this pass. We'll watch the points change. He will steal third
now
back.
Cleared it. Yes.
And look at how that changes the points. That gives him a 5-point buffer now over Cattell. It was just 1 point at the start. So that's how quickly the things can change as O'Gorman leads by 0.6 of a second on the opening lap.
Yeah, I think Matan's job here is to not battle with anyone. It's just to do as well as he can anywhere. Good braking strength into turn 3 here.
Yeah, the difference was 8 points coming into this event. Again, all Cattell really needs to do is O'Gorman has a big slide coming down through 4. All Cattell really needs to do is just beat Rosenberg a little bit every race. It doesn't all have to happen at once.
It's not going to be easy, though.
No, it's not, and especially here, coming up out of this dig, I would think that the Corvette is going to have a little bit more pace here. O'Gorman seems to be struggling in this sector, though. Had that big slide down the hill, maybe overheated the tires, but look at this top 3. This is the juggernauts of Eibach GLTC.
And Cattell looking tighty behind Tom, but yeah, Matan just getting closer and closer. He made up about a 5-car gap so far from the last lap.
And about 2 car lengths between them now as they head through turns 8 and 9 and into 10 and 11.
You can see the strength of the lighter cars here. Matan falling back just a little bit. This track does balance these cars quite well.
Yeah, Cattell actually struggled through 12 last time, but a much better sequence through here. You see Tomo gain a lot leaving turn 12, and look at this pace it has coming down the hill. A little bit of confidence plays into effect there too. You're coming over a blind crest, but now Cattell's going to be vulnerable here to Matan Rosenberg in the fast section of the racetrack. Rosenberg looks to the left, drives around the outside of Cattell, and he'll clear him, but Cattell sticks the nose up the inside. It'll be a braking duel here using his ABS to outbrake Rosenberg into turn 17.
So tight.
And that was a pretty decisive maneuver there for Cattell, and Rosenberg trying to find a way around that. Climb up out of 18 is really hard for the Civic.
Yeah, this is quite steep. In real life, it looks like you're climbing a mountain, and then it drops away on you here.
Yeah, so Rosenberg now with that second place away. It's an 11-point differential here as O'Gorman half a second clear of Rosenberg here. Now, Smedegard closes in, but still pretty tight across these top 4. Brian Hedian in 6th, Barbado, Meadows, Morrison, and Ryan Powers worked up into the top 10.
And the strengths of Matan's car, a little bit evident on the big straightaways, but we will see, I'm sure, Cattell and Smedegard reel them back in about half of this back section of the track.
Yeah, now Tomo is going to be maybe the cork in the bottle for Rosenberg. We'll see the ebb and flow over this track. It has such a difference between some of the sectors that the advantages of each car is immediately apparent when you go from one sector to the next.
We're coming into the section that the lighter cars will probably sneak back up on the bumper of Matan here.
Yeah. Matan can't do much about it into turn 7.
About a 1,000-pound differential in these cars.
Even slightly more than that for him versus Kittil.
Yeah. When you look at it from an aerial shot, you can't imagine how that is, but yeah, a lot of weight differential. These cars making speed in very different ways.
Yeah, you see Eric again closing right back in on Matan. So this is the ebb and flow that we were talking about. You see the big flat slide for Smedegaard in the FA24 FRS. Again, just give and take here and there. I think for Kittil, it's just going to have to be chipping away. It's not going to be easy this weekend. It all could come down to the invert at the end of the weekend, really.
Also, too, a 15-minute race with a lot of weight on your tires. This track is very aggressive on grip. It's going to probably heat the tires very differently than every other circuit we've been to, so weight might come into a factor here. I'm not sure. We'll see about how the fall-off is in the next 5 minutes.
Barbado on Hetty in there. That's for 6th place. And you see Eric Magnussen even still in the. This is kind of the same exact battle playing out here with Hetty in a much lighter S2000, Magnussen with the V8 LS. And here comes Rosenberg up the front straight, passing O'Gorman for the lead. O'Gorman on the binders much harder into turn 1, though, and clears them. And Rosenberg ate the curb on the inside, wasn't able to complete that pass.
Not the ideal line, but great to see the awareness and cleanliness of these two drivers.
Yeah, Tomo shows the defensive maneuver there on the straightaway and just so late on the brakes. This car, that S2000, one of its strengths always was the brakes. He could outbrake everybody by a full marker back in 2022 when he won the championship. How many races came down to just a braking zone duel between him
and it felt like he could outbrake them in the rain here by you know, how many 10 car lengths almost. The car was unbelievable.
I wonder also if we have some rain tomorrow, if that will come into Kittil's advantage a little bit with the front wheel drive. I imagine that he would be hoping for some rain. They went to battle at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta earlier in the year, and it was big slip for O'Gorman and mistake, and through comes Rosenberg to take the lead.
Now, if Eric can work with Tom, they might be better in a straight line than they aren't separate.
Yeah, and Tomo had mentioned yesterday, again, it's been a little while since he's been in this car, and he was reminded about how much work this car is to drive. Yeah. It might not be the easiest to extract speed out of, but a driver like Tomo is able to extract the maximum possible performance. And he's right back on the heels of Matan now, and we're going to see him probably gain through this section as well. Through 13 and 14, and then down this back stretch, this is where Matan's car will stretch its legs.
Yep. The braking zone down into the last turn, though, is it's very, very heavy. So the better braking car is going to make up multiple car lengths here. Yeah,
see, Eric Magnussen in this secondary battle, about 2 seconds slower compared to Rosenberg's best lap, who is the race leader right now. So big differential. It's really the top 4 and everybody else at the moment as they claw up out of turn 18 and come across the stripe. Rosenberg leads the way by 7/10 of a second over O'Gorman and Kittil Smedegaard. Then Magnussen P5 up a couple of spots here to start the day. Then Hetty and Barbado. And Eric Meadows, keep an eye on that number 3 car right in the spot where the invert could catch you in race 4. And he was able to take advantage of that at Midwest Festival and earn his first victory in this series.
Lap times in the top 10, top 5 through 10 are having really tight lap times. There's got to be some battles all over this circuit with 30-plus cars.
Yeah, in Meadows, Morrison, and Power, that battle's pretty fun as well. So now with Tomo chasing Rosenberg, curious if we're going to see this come back the other way. Again, Kittil still in the conversation with Rosenberg there. It's not quite over yet. And here's one of the battles I was mentioning: Meadows, Power, and Morrison. Power's actually gotten by Joel Morrison in the first sector of this lap.
Do you know what drivetrain's in Ryan Power's car?
I think it's just the FA24 that this engine or this car ships with. He used to run an ND Miata with us, but this is just a GR86, a pretty simple build as far as the drivetrain is concerned. But aero, coilovers, brakes, and again, kind of similar to Andy Smedegaard's car, except Andy has transplanted that drivetrain into the previous generation FRS.
And Joel Morrison, that car has been the green S2000 in picture. That car's been in the GRIDLIFE paddock since just about day one. Used to be a track mod car with a turbo S2000, and he has now changed it to a V6 over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, J-Series like you'd find in a Honda Odyssey minivan, of all things.
Very reasonable to replace. They are plentiful and cheap. Make good noises, too, with the right exhaust.
Yeah, and chasing down Ryan Power here. Power got by him in the first part of the lap. We'll see if he can reverse the ordering this time through. Gonna jump on the brakes into turn 17. Lena Chin's right behind Blake Korth, Paul Darling. Darling's dropped a couple spots from the start. Eric Catil just ran his best lap of the race. You see 3/10 quicker was Morrison than Power last time. And look at this on the straightaway. Pulling up alongside in the V6 versus the 4-cylinder Boxer that's in the GR.
Really tight parity in a straight line between these two very different cars.
And looks like Power's going to hang on to it for now, but just. And look at Morrison again using that torque on the straight up alongside Power. Into the braking zone here, side by side. This will be a tricky math down here. Things get very tight from 4 to 5.
Yeah, 56.6 and a 56.7 between those two cars that last lap. Very clean.
Yeah, Rosenberg
that looks like a fun battle.
For the lead, was only 2/10 off his best. This is really tight. I mean, they're not leaving inches between each other here. That's 2000 versus GR86, and all the while, Lena Chin hunting them from behind. And have a look at how close it was last time around. 0.095 between these two, Advantage Morrison.
And then you get a little case swap S2000 behind. Three very different cars drivetrain-wise.
Yeah, a couple of different kinds of motors. Inline 4, Boxer 4, V6. All kind of classic front-engine, rear-drive sports cars.
Similar weight between the three of them.
Yeah, probably in the 2,800-pound range, I'd guess. Maybe Morrison's slightly heavier than that, I'd imagine. But this is a battle for second. Eric Catil and Tom O'Gorman. This would be a pass that would count for a lot for Catil. If he could get by O'Gorman, that would swing the points back 3 points in his favor.
1.64 back, O'Gorman to Rosenberg.
Yeah, just 3 minutes left to go. Would be expecting a white flag potentially next time by.
Yep.
But there's Tomo, and Catil that time was a little slower than Tomo, 0.15 slower to be exact.
Matan has a lot of laps at this racetrack. I'm sure some of that is really coming down to his setup choices and trying to keep this car under him for 15 solid minutes.
And again, we're going to set race 2 grid by the race 1 finishing order. Race 3 will be done by fastest lap. So, and then of course we have the invert in race 4 that can change everything. So down into the braking for turn 5. Catil, little lateral slide there. The rear end kind of walked around on him a bit.
With front-wheel drive, though, you really kind of want some of that. You don't want to be out of control, but the earlier he can get on the throttle, the better. And if the back end's coming around, he has to.
Yeah, and again, Catil's got this car set up in such a way that he's so good at driving it, and others have talked about how if they jumped into Catil's car, they don't know if they could be fast in it. It's really built to his preferences.
It's wild to watch in-car. I mean, the steering wheel angle doesn't change a whole lot. He's driving with the gas pedal way more than you would expect in a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah, look at Brian Hetty, and just takes a huge chunk of curb to try to get up the inside of Eric Magnuson here for P5, but Magnuson throttles up. He's another driver. He's actually from Pennsylvania, so this would be a track that he's got plenty of laps on.
The final competition weekend of this facility. Great to see some locals coming out.
Coming down the hill, Magnuson, Hetty, and look at Nick Barbado there chasing as well. He's a race winner as of Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Took advantage of the invert there in a E36 BMW M3.
V8 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder here.
And we'll see if maybe Barbado tries outside braking into turn 17. Can't quite get there. And coming up onto the front stretch.
Heading's best of the session, a 55.8 and a 55.81 for Barbado. These two cars are very evenly matched on overall lap time.
And this will be the last lap. White flag is out. There it is. So 1 lap to go here. 2.4 from O'Gorman up to Rosenberg, but just a half a second between O'Gorman and Catil. And Morrison and Meadows trading spots there. Where did Ryan Power go? He's dropped to 11th, so a little slip up there. But here is Matan Rosenberg. He's driven a really solid race here. And he came in with an 8-point advantage over Catil, but first to third is going to get him up to 15 points north of Catil. That makes the math a little harder for Eric, but it's still not impossible by any stretch. Even if Catil were to outperform Rosenberg in the next 3 races, it would very easily switch that even with only a position or 2 advantage. And that doesn't factor in how the invert plays into this. because that will change the math. Look at this battle down into 5. Ryan Power
just inside.
Ooh,
just inside Alina and Paul Darling. Very close. That is a tight spot of racetrack, too.
And Blake Korth watching all that in the Porsche Cayman. He wants into this fight. And 4 cars battling for 10th spot at the moment.
Great racing throughout the field here. This is fun to watch. Stressful to watch, as it feels like I said yesterday. It feels like your kid's going off to college or high school. You're 7 years in. Hard to believe this series is 7 years old, going into its 8th season. The winner of this weekend, effectively, will probably be the driver that goes to Germany with Eibach for the 75th anniversary of Eibach Springs.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later in the weekend. Here's Matan Rosenberg coming across the stripe, and it will be a 10th win on the season for Matan Rosenberg. Checkered flag. Matan Rosenberg dominates race 1 of the weekend. Tom O'Gorman second. Eric Catil picks up a podium. That will be critical because he'll start right behind Rosenberg when we head to race 2 later today. Smedegard 4th. Magnuson will grab 5th spot over Brian Hedian, who again a local driver returning to competition here this year. Nick Barbado will grab 7th, and Morrison. And this whole scrum of cars, look at Korth. He managed to get around Eric Meadows. Did Meadows slip up? He did. Meadows is going to drop down to outside the top 10 at the very end of this thing and end up P11.
And from our view, looks like a very clean race. Thanks to the drivers for that, and putting on a good show for everybody watching on the live stream. Glad we're not on camera because I never know what to do with my hands. But at least these drivers know what to do with their hands.
They seem to. Kevin Zhu, how about a successful race 1, 18th place with a borrowed transmission from DJ Alessandrini. And this quartet of cars had a pretty fun fight there. Here's Andy Smedegard pulling up alongside Catil. These two dueled basically one-on-one at Autobahn Country Club. It looked very classic 2019-2020 GLTC with 2 drivers that were just laying down the gauntlet for everybody else.
Same thing with Lime Rock Park. What a fun one to watch.
Yeah, that was really, really cool to watch. But Catil has math not in his favor now. He's going to have to get really aggressive for the rest of the weekend there. Is he on sticker tires too? Is he saving that advantage for later in the weekend?
We know Matan is well equipped with tires, and that will probably come into play with this racetrack.
And beautiful pit race in the background. First
Gorgeous
of 4
shot.
races is complete. We'll have a look here at our race results for Eibach GLTC race number 1. And there's Matan Rosenberg in P1. Tom O'Gorman right behind. Eric Catil in 3rd. Smedegard, Magnuson, Hedian, Barbado, Morrison, Chin, and Darling your top 10. And then 11 through 20. We didn't get a lot of looks back here, but there was some great fights. You see Shalil Shukla and James Smith, Michael Pagano and John Gatos. Only 4 tenths between them at the finish. Then Zhu, Scott, and then some others. Look at Steve Cairo, Thomas Moss, Clayton Fitzpatrick, and more in this 30-car field. Rory Lonergan at the very tail of the field there, and Natalie Latos in position number 31.
Pretty wild to watch the top 20 here. Most of those drivers have won or been on the podium in a TC race, and really intense competition. Fun to watch.
Yeah, well, with that, let's have a look at the highlights here from Eibach GLTC race number 1. It was a pretty fierce one at the pointy end of the field, at least in the opening half of the race. And it all started with the green flag with Tom O'Gorman, 2022 Eibach GLTC champ, on pole alongside Eric Catil. And they filtered out with Tom O'Gorman in the top spot for a little while, with Rosenberg chasing in trail. And then Catil tried to put up a fight here for 2nd place, but just wasn't able to out-drag him on the straightaways here. He'll have to find a way to defend a little bit better. Then this big moment for Tom O'Gorman, a slip. That allowed Rosenberg to get through to the lead, and he never looked back. Built a 2.8-second advantage as Natalie Latos chased Lisa Keys. Here's Ryan Power and Joel Morrison going at it.
Fun battle to watch.
Super fun. This was on the last lap of the race here, Adam.
This pack must have had a really fun race. I'm hoping we're seeing nothing but hugs in the paddock. That looked like a good time.
And with that, checkered flag for Matan Rosenberg, race number 1 complete. And Matan Rosenberg wins race 1 of 4 here in Eibach GLTC.